Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to start the reading vlog for the Tawny Man series. This is the third small series in the bigger realm of the Elderling series, and I have read all of the previous books, obviously. That's how we got here. I do have a reading vlog for the Life Ship Trader series. If you want to check that out, I will link it down below. And then also I have a vlog for the first book in the Farseer trilogy, but unfortunately I did not separately vlog the rest of that trilogy, but I did enjoy Farseer a little bit more than I enjoyed Life Ship Traders. I think, maybe. Still not quite sure about that. Like, they're kind of equal. They're just like so different that it's hard to compare. But I just feel like the characters in Farseer, they live closer to my heart in a way, even though I think the ones in Life Ship Traders are a little bit more complex. But we're not here to discuss those theories. We're here to talk about Tawny Man. And since this is the third series in like an overarching thing, I wanted to say that I cannot completely promise that I will never say a thing here that couldn't be considered a spoiler for the previous series. So please proceed with caution. I will try not to spoil anything major, but it is hard to talk about a series where you have like other characters pop up again from like previous books completely spoiler free. So just be warned. But the way this works is that I will always update you when I'm halfway through a book and when I finish the book, and that way you will get all of my thoughts and feelings about this trilogy. I will listen to these on audio. So far I have listened to all of the Realm of the Elderlings books on audio, and that has worked out quite well. This is a different narrator from the first series, which is a bit concerning because he does pronounce some of the names differently, which I do not love. But we will get through that, and I hope I'll have so much fun with this series. I'm so ready to be back with these characters, and I'll talk to you when I'm halfway through Fool's Errand. So I'm now halfway through Fool's Errand, the first book in the Tawny Man trilogy. And let me just say, it is so good to be back in this world and with Robin Hobb's writing. Now, obviously, this being the third trilogy that I'm reading by this author, I can firmly say that I adore her writing and I adore her stories. And yeah, it's just a pleasure. You know, this is like exactly what I want these vlogs to be, me just gushing about how good it is to dive deep into these worlds and characters and just have the best time. And I am truly having the best time with this book so far. So this has a little bit of a time gap to the first trilogy where we followed Fitz. I think this is around 10-ish years later, maybe 15, something like that. So we do definitely see our characters in different places from where we left off. And this first book definitely takes a lot of time to reintroduce us to some of these characters, to show us what they have done during that time where we didn't follow them. And so this is a very slow start to the series. Now, Robin Hobb's writing is not very action-packed. It's not very dramatic and happening very fast. So this is exactly what I expected. And I think just getting to know these characters again, just seeing where they're at right now is so important, and it definitely sets the scene for what is happening. It definitely takes quite a bit before the actual plot starts happening, because Fitz has withdrawn quite a bit after what happened in the first book. He tried to kind of build a life for himself, but he also tried to stay away from a lot of the things that have happened to him. And I think Robin Hobb does a fantastic job of getting you up to date. And that also means she does a great job of like reminding you of important things that happen in the first trilogy. So I read the Farseer trilogy in 2023. And so it definitely has been a while, and my brain is not the best when it comes to remembering like certain plot points of a book. I much more remember the feelings I have when I read a book. So it's very, very helpful and also successful in just getting you back into that place where you need to be as a reader to follow the story completely. So I very much appreciate that. And it's just, you get to these characters and this like feeling of love I have for these characters, even the most flawed ones, it's just immediately back. And one of my favorite characters of probably all time is the Fool. They're such a interesting character, especially when you consider how old these books are. And I just missed them, and I'm glad to have them back in the story. We do have kind of a similar character in the Life Ship Traders, but I think nothing comes quite to the level of like love I feel for the Fool. So having them being a much bigger part of the second trilogy, hopefully, is very exciting to me as well. And I already love all the things we have seen up to the halfway point. So it does take probably about the first third to like 40% of the book to get going. But by now, by the halfway point, we definitely do have a goal. We do have something that Fitz needs to achieve. And so I feel like we have that momentum carrying us forward now, which I very much appreciate, and I'm definitely intrigued to see where that leads. Now, thematically, this series seems to be much more about the two different kinds of magic that we have in this world. There is the skill and the wit. And while the skill is something that predominantly is like a magic power of the ruling house of the Farseers, the wit is more like a folk magic. It's more something that people have that are just normal people, basically, and they usually hide that they have this power. And Fitz is kind of like an exception in the way that he has both of these magic powers. This is a lot about kind of fear of the unknown and stigmatization, discrimination, and just the horrible way that people who have the wit are treated. And I think that that will be something that this second trilogy involving Fitz is much more focused on and exploring. We do have both of that in the first trilogy as well, but just from the name of the series and what we have discussed so far in this first half of the first book, I feel like this is going to be a much, much bigger part in this trilogy. And I'm excited to see that. I always love stories that challenge, stigmatization and discrimination of people, whether that is like in some kind of a fantasy way or in a real life inspired way or in an actual like real life way, with like, discrimination that happens in our real world as well. I just love seeing that explored, and especially seeing the horrific effects of that explored, because I think this is a great way to get people to feel more empathy and to really question themselves when they stigmatize other people. So love that. And I think that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm just like, I love it. I can't wait to listen to the rest of this book, and then we'll talk again. So yesterday I finished reading Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb, the first book in the Tawny trilogy, and I'm here to talk about it. Now, what you don't know is that currently is my birthday, and I was trying to film a video unboxing my gifts that my friends sent me, and my cat is lying on the gifts, like in the box on the gifts. So if you see cat shenanigans during this update, that's why. But yeah, we're marching along. We have to film this update today because Fool's Errand was glorious. It was such a good book. I gave it 4.5 stars, which really means like 5 stars. I don't know why I have such a hard time giving Robin Hobb's books 5 stars. I just always feel like they are like really complex and the character work is amazing. However, I just don't feel like they really stick with me, and like I can remember them really well. I think that somehow they just always like kind of get out of my head, I guess, and I forget stuff so quickly. But like when I'm in the moment, I'm absolutely loving the books. So take this with a grain of salt. But yeah, this book was just great. It like really reminded me of the first book in the four-seer trilogy, the level of love I had for this book. And so far, that has been my favorite book, and also the only one I have reread so far from the series. And so yeah, I had a great time listening to Fool's Errand. I loved so much to be back with these characters, and I think that it had this like very beautiful emotional arc as well. Obviously, with our characters in this book, especially with Fitz, he can be kind of frustrating, but you always know why he is the way he is. And I think that makes a very big difference with characters that would usually get on my nerves with the decisions they make or the way they treat other people. But because we have grown up with Fitz up until this point, I feel like you really understand that he can't get out of his own skin. It's like just who he is and how he was brought up to be. And so in that regard, I think that I love Fitz so much more than he kind of deserves in a way, because yeah, I can like, I really can ignore so much that he does and the way he acts and just love him regardless because of like the big journey we have been on so far. So yeah, that is like so exciting. And then obviously the Fool is probably like my favorite character of this whole universe, and so having them back is just amazing. And this book was just everything. The ending was so heartfelt, and it had such a beautiful but sad moment that made me sob while doing the dishes. And so yeah, this book had everything. This is like kind of like peak Robin Hobb for me, and I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. I have actually already started reading the second book, and yeah, this is just a journey that I am kind of like ready to go on, but not really prepared for. So I think that's it for the spoiler free part, because I can't really like criticize anything about the second half of this book. I think it was phenomenal and amazing. And the only thing I would say that is like a tiny critique, but it's more like me, is that, as I said, I feel like I don't always remember the things really well that happen in these books, but I can't put my finger on why that is. I just sometimes feel like the impact isn't quite where I would need it to be for it to be a 5-star, like a true, like real new favorite book of all time. But like this series overall, for sure, is like a 5-star series for me. Make it make sense. I can't, but you know, we're just gonna move on from here. So I'm going to go into a couple of spoiler bits now. So if you have not read Fool's Errand yet, I would recommend you use the chapters to jump ahead to when I talk about the next book in the series, spoiler free. But for everyone who has read the book, I wanted to go into a couple of more like detailed thoughts. So you have been warned, spoilers ahead. So in this book, obviously, we have to deal with the death of Night Eyes. And I was kind of surprised by that, because even though it's like hinted at that he is an old wolf, that his time is coming to an end, and that also they are kind of like preparing themselves each in their own way for that moment, I thought this would be something that happens later on in this trilogy, and I did not expect it to be something that happens in the first book. Now, one thing about like Robin Hobb's writing, I didn't love Night Eyes in the Farseer trilogy. I actually was quite annoyed by him sometimes, and I wouldn't say that I absolutely loved him in this book. You know, I'm a cat person. What can I say? But still, the way she wrote it, the way that he passed away, the way it was done, it was so beautiful. And while you're reading it, you're like, this kind of sounds like he's dying, but it's like,
it takes Fitz a while to catch on. So you're reading this, you're like, I kind of think he's dying right now. And it's like so beautiful. So I was sobbing, and then Fitz like wakes up and realizes that that is what happened, and it just hits you like so much more. And it was just, it was a masterpiece. Robin Hobb just has such a way with words, but also with your emotions as a reader, and I loved that. I really did. I love the cats in this book. Now, for a while, the cats are kind of like the enemies, so I was like, is this the moment where Robin Hobb has her like Sauron was originally a cat in Beren and Luthien kind of moment? But it's not really. Obviously Fitz as a dog person doesn't really get along super well with the cats, but especially the cat of the Hedge Witch, it had me laughing out loud every time. It is so fitting. Like, you can really see that Robin Hobb knows cats. And it's just so funny. It is so ridiculously funny. And the moment where we have the situation with the cat and the prince, and then Fitz having to kill the cat, kind of the cat saving the day by making it kind of inevitable that she will be killed by Fitz and stuff like that. So in the end of the day, the cat was kind of a hero too, which is a message that I approve of. And I just really loved the way that with this book we get such a deep dive into the wit and how people live with the wit. We learn so much more about old blood. We obviously had a little bit of that in the Farseer trilogy, but that one was so much more about the skill, and so this feels more about the wit. And obviously they do intertwine within Fitz and then also within Dutiful, but I think that, yeah, just looking at the title of the series and that we have like the piebalds and the old blood and the like injustice that is going on with them, with the people that treat them so horribly and that kill them. And yeah, it's just really interesting to delve deep into that and to learn more about the wit. And I think it is so interesting that the old bloods have this like really strict code of how they raise their children and when children are ready to bond with an animal, and that they have this like very strict ethical code. And Fitz is always a little bit annoyed by that because he doesn't really adhere to it. He has been taught that like way too late, and so he's always like an independent soul. Like, he's always like, people teach me things, but like, do I really believe them? I don't know. So yeah, I just really enjoyed that, and I think that it's such an interesting topic to explore, and we will probably get even more of that in the 2 other books that I still have to read and experience, and I'm so excited about that. So yeah, we love the cat, we love the whole old blood situation. Now the prince. The prince is a bit of a difficult thing for me because I don't always love how Fitz and Dutiful interact with each other, because like there is this big secret that Dutiful doesn't really know, that Fitz is actually his father, and Fitz doesn't really see it like that because of the way that Dutiful was conceived, but like realistically it is the case. And so there is kind of like this imbalance of knowledge between the two, and Fitz doesn't want to kind of stand up to that and like admit what has been going on in that regard. And that makes it very difficult because they can't really be like truthful to each other. And the way that Fitz treated Dutiful so often reminded me of the way that Beric treated Fitz when he was a child. And so you can totally see how he doesn't really know another way how to deal with a young boy or a young man. And so he is like repeating things like that. And it's just so interesting because like if you think back to the time when like Fitz was first bonded to a puppy and it got taken away, and the pain he felt because of that, and how much he hated Burrage for that, and now he is the one who killed the cat. And so it is kind of like his job to make sure that Dutiful understands what has happened and deals with his feelings. And he could really make a difference with that, because he has been in such a similar situation where he thought for years that Burridge had killed his first Bond animal. And yeah, and you still see that he doesn't really know how to deal with it in a better way. Like, it is marginally better, but like a lot of that comes from Dutiful being like already quite smart about these things. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. This was a fantastic book. I don't even want to go into like greater detail. I was so happy to have all of our characters again, especially with Jade and the Fool. The Fool is just the best. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, and I feel so stupid for that, but the other day I watched a spoilery video about Ship of Destiny, and someone mentioned that Amber is the Fool. And I was just like mind blown. Like, why didn't I see it? Like, why didn't I see it? It is true, right? Because I always thought that they are like the same kind, because I think that there's more than the Fool. Like, there's definitely one more that we know about. So I always thought they were like the same kind of like people, but that they're literally the same person. It does make so much sense, but that's like what I meant, that I forget so much of the details, because I think there is just so much detail in the series that my like poor little brain just cannot keep up with it. And I think that sometimes the links that are made are so fine that my brain is just not able to like see them. Because there is, for example, like one moment where Fitz talks about that he saw the Fool during like a sea voyage situation through his skill bond with him or them. So yeah, I felt so dumb. I felt so dumb, but it makes sense. So I think they're the same person, right? So that's where I will leave it off for this first book. As I said, I have already started book 2. I am already enjoying it. So you will hear from me again very soon. Like, for you, it will be within a couple of seconds. And I will talk about the next book in this trilogy. So I'm currently halfway through Golden Fool, and you guys, we need to talk. This book, like, I have so many like thoughts and feelings. I don't even know how to get that into a spoiler-free format right now, but I will try. So this book, even though the beginning had me a little bit confused, it does follow right after what happened in the first book. At first it felt like there was a time jump, but it is not. Like, we're right back where we left off with the first book, and we are following our characters and what happens next. Now, in this one, while in the first book we were traveling around quite a bit, in this one we, for the first half, stay put in Buckkeep. So it has this feeling of the first book in that way, that we are like very stuck in this place, and it's all about the like court intrigue and different political players and just what's going on there. In that regard, as I said, it has this nostalgic feeling of the first book, which I very much enjoy. And we also have time to spend with our characters, which can be good, but can also be a little bit frustrating. Because honestly, Fitz is being Fitz right now, and I don't always love him when he does that. So yeah, it is... It's definitely interesting, and there are a couple of things that don't really make a lot of sense to me, so I'm interested to see whether in the second half of this book this will be resolved a little bit, that we get some answers or just at least see why the characters are doing what they're doing. That would be like very great, honestly. But I am thoroughly enjoying this one. I have heard that this one is not very beloved, and I can totally see why. Currently, things are happening where like I was just like cleaning my flat, and while I was doing that, something was happening, and I just started screaming at the characters that they're being so dumb. So yeah, Rob and Hobb definitely testing our frustration levels again. There were some things happening that relate to the Life Ship Traders series in this one. We do see some of the characters from those books, which, like, yes, thank you. We also get some news from some other characters, so that was like really lovely. So if you skip like Life Ship, I think these chapters are like, what are these people talking about? But if you have read Life Ship and you love these characters, it's just so nice. It is so nice. And then also there was like one moment when like there were some references to stuff from Life Ship, and I was like, I think I'm lost. Like, what's happening? Like, what is this referring to? But when it clicked, it hurt so bad. And I just want to say again, the Fool is my favorite character. They are amazing. And they deserve so much better. And Fitz is being Fitz. And I want to slap him for it. But yeah, that was so beautiful. So great. If I remember, I'll try to talk about it more in the spoiler bit when I have finished the book, just in case you don't know what I'm referring to right now. But yeah, overall, I would say that this definitely has a different feel from the first book in this trilogy because we're not traveling around, and I also feel that the theme of the like wit and the old blood has been pushed aside a little bit right now. It started out with that again, but now things are happening that seem to have not a lot to do with that, so I'm intrigued to see how that comes around. But yeah, altogether, I'm intrigued, I'm interested, I definitely want to continue reading, but I also sometimes really want to slap Fitz. And honestly, the Hedge Witch, she's great. She's great, and she's one of the characters who talks to Fitz the way that he needs talking to, and he should really listen to her. So I think that's where we will leave this update. As I said, really enjoying this book. Not as much as the first one. I think just because like that had so much coziness and this one has way more frustration. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see how dumb some of these characters will continue to be. Like, to be fair, a lot of these characters being dumb right now are literal children. So it is understandable. Like, it's not that these are bad characters, they're just characters that frustrate you, but you can totally see why they're doing what they're doing. So yeah, Rob and Hobb, master of the characters, has me by my throat. And I'll talk to you again when I have finished this book.
So yesterday I finished reading Golden Fool, and I'm here to give you an update on this book. I must be completely honest with you, I do not remember a single thing I said in my previous update, so this is going to be interesting. Let me just start with the fact that I absolutely loved this book, as I did with the first one. I think by now we're just so deep into these characters and their relationships that this is just like the stuff of my dreams. So I gave this second book 4.5 stars as well. I still feel like I cannot give them 5 stars because there's just so much going on that there is also always stuff that like I don't love, but still there is so much of the stuff that I love that overall this is still like a 5-star series to me. Make it make sense. I'm not making the rules here. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend this second book if you're interested in it. It was so good, and especially the ending. The ending is like very different from other Hobb books, I feel like. It was not like very big. Like there is some like quite dramatic stuff happening, but then we do get like some more stuff at the end that is a little bit more political and quiet in that sense. And we have our characters kind of embarking on the big journey that is probably going to be at least part of the third book, and I'm very much intrigued to see where that goes. But the ending gave us some incredible character moments that I have been waiting for a very long time. So the relief and the tears were definitely there for the ending of this book, and yeah, I just loved it. I am amazed by this series and I can't wait to read the third book. I will take a little bit of a break now, but like I am so excited for the third book, like you have no idea. I just need some like shorter books like in between. You know, if you read like all of these like big fantasy books, you feel like you're not going anywhere. So I just need to like pick up some shorter books in between. But I'm ready. I'm set for book 3. Now, apart from that, like, I don't even know what to talk about really, because like I could immediately just start gushing. Maybe I do mention a couple of things that I didn't love though. And for one thing, that would be that we have a character here that seems to have like a disability, maybe like a learning disability. I never know like the correct English words. I'm really sorry. I don't want to be like insensitive. You see, I can't speak English. But yeah, there seems to be like a character that just his brain works differently from like the people around him, and the way that this character is dealt with, I really appreciate it. I think that it is very humanizing and very in depth, and it kind of challenges stereotypes and stuff like that. However, the words used are not great. Like, you can definitely see that this book is a little bit old now, that there is a lot of words in there that we probably wouldn't use in that context anymore. So while I did enjoy seeing the way that our characters interact with this particular character and what we learn about him and all of that, I think that the wording is not great. Let's just say that. That maybe is one of the things I didn't love. There's also some like little inconsistencies that I think I talked about in my first update regarding like some of the spying that Fitz does in this book, and how he like either magically understands a different language, or the people he's spying for some reason talk in his language, even though that's not their like first language. I don't know. But yeah, apart from these like little things, I did enjoy like the overall thing that is going on. I think what makes this ending a bit different from other Hobb books for me personally is that with the other books, I always felt like something came to an end. Like, even though it wasn't the end of the series, it had like the end of a book. In this one, it definitely sets up the third book, and I think that is quite different from like her usual writing style. I don't mind that because I'm very intrigued to see what happens in the third book. And what this book also has, what a lot of like Fitz's book have, is that it kind of mashes two storylines together, where at least for now we don't really see how they will fit in the end. Because on the one hand, we have the storyline with the Islanders and the way that Katrikin is trying to get like an alliance with them, and on the other hand, we have the whole like Old Blood storyline. And so for now, they seem quite separate, even though I'm pretty sure that they won't stay that way when we reach the final book. And so usually with her books, she would at least like wrap up one of these like storylines, or like give us like something that feels like an ending. However, that didn't happen here. We're still like very much in the middle of both of these things that Fitz is dealing with and that the Farseers are dealing with. So yeah, in that regard, maybe it is a little bit more open and more relying on that third book for closure. As I said, like, I can like gush about this forever, and it's mainly just me screeching about the characters. So if you have read books about Fitz and you do love the characters you see in these books, I think you will get a lot in this book that you will love. like especially one thing, but no spoilers. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it here for the spoiler-free part, and I will go quickly into a couple of spoilers. So if you have not read the book, please use the chapters down below to jump over the spoilers and listen to my spoiler-free thoughts for the final book if you're interested. But for my friends who have already read the series, let's discuss a little bit. Because like, oh my god, I need to start with the obvious, and that is the relationship of Fitz and the Fool that we get in this book. Now, I loved seeing them back together in the first book of this trilogy, and so in this one we have like more growing tensions, and this comes from the fact that Fitz is now pretending to be the Fool's servant, and the Fool is pretending to be this Jamalian nobleman. And because of stuff that happened in the first book, word gets out that the Fool might be into men, which, as he is presenting as a male at court, that is considered homosexuality. And we can easily see that this is not something that this land is very used to. We do get some homophobic comments from Dutiful, and we also see Fitz being quite homophobic in a way. And so when Fitz goes to confront the Fool, it goes terribly wrong, and you can see that from like a mile away. And I loved how that was done. The way that the Fool said that he would have never approached Fitz in a way that he didn't think that Fitz also wanted is just so beautiful. And I think that, yeah, just like him being so respectful, and it is kind of like an unrequited love in a way, because I think the Fool feels much more for Fitz than the other way around, or maybe Fitz just hasn't realized a lot of it yet. I think the way that was dealt with was really like beautiful, and there were some tender moments, like the moment when the Fool shows Fitz their tattoos, for example. It was just that was such a scene. Like, I had goosebumps. It was such an intimate scene, and it just fit them so well. And then also, obviously, with the ending, when Fitz goes back to the Fool and he calls them beloved. Oh, that moment. And the way that they don't really talk afterwards, because they want this moment to be like something they will have in their memory forever, and not like tainted with like other stuff they discuss afterwards. And yeah, it's just beautiful. We also have the revelation of the Fool saying that they want to go on this quest of Dutiful as well to slay this like ice dragon, but they want to stop it because the ice dragon, if it still exists, could be a mate to Tentaglia. And so they say that if they go, it's their turn to die, which like, like, I do not accept that. I just, yeah, when they said that, I was like, no, we're not letting you die. Yeah, the Fool truly is like the heart and soul of this series for me, and I love them so much. I'm still so mad that I didn't see that they were Amber as well in the Life Ship Traders, and I still want to go back and reread Life Ship Traders knowing that now. We do have some other things that happened that I thought were very interesting. I really love the discussion with the Old Bloods. I do love the new character we get at the end. I think it's Webb. The like old blood guy who's also now joining the quest, and who's just trying to get in contact with people and show them that the Old Bloods are just normal human beings as well. So I was really intrigued by that whole thing. We still have the threat of the piebalds, so I'm very intrigued to see where that goes in the third book. Obviously now Fitz has killed Loudwine, so there will probably be like some shuffling around. We have this like character of Silver Eyes who seems to be kind of in the piebald direction, so I'm intrigued to see where that goes. The whole like negotiations they had at the end, it was just like very interesting to have that kind of as the last thing that happens in these books, basically, for the plot. It's just so much going on, I don't even know where to start. We have the whole skilling thing. I really like the way they integrated thick. I said before, like, the language used for him isn't great, but the way that Fitz is really trying to understand him, and when he experiences all the pain that Thick has suffered from the exclusion that he had to experience in his life, I think that is just so important. A lot of people have to keep that in mind if they ridicule people because they think they're not as smart, that these people still have all the same feelings that we do. And even though they might express them differently, they still feel them and they still feel the pain. So I thought it was such an important thing to show, and I'm intrigued to see how this will go. Like, I love the idea that Thick basically has this like very, very strong skill, and that this isn't like, you know, that his disability doesn't really interfere with his like amount of skill that he has. So it's very intriguing to see how that goes. I also really enjoyed seeing the relationship of Dutiful and Thick kind of develop, that they're almost like friends now, that they have their like little you know, inside jokes and stuff. So yeah, I just thought the way that he was brought into the story, and it wasn't like easy for any of them, but they slowly find the respect and yeah, the like positive feelings for each other, and I really enjoyed that. The whole like seeing birds thing again was like a lot. I still don't know how I feel about this man. Like, the way that he feels, you can totally understand. Like, he blames himself for Fitz's death because he thinks if he would have stopped him from using his wit, he wouldn't have died. And so he hates himself and he hates the wit so much. So you can totally understand the logic behind it. At the same time, you also see that he is so wrong about it, and he's going about it in just the wrong way. So a lot there. Then we have Nettle. I love her, even though we see so little of her. I'm really intrigued to see how she will play into the rest of this series. Not just like this trilogy, but then also the final trilogy we have for now. So yeah, I love Nettle, and she, so precious. She's so precious. Jade, we have Jade. The way that he is like experiencing his skill is very interesting, but also like very dramatic, and I'm kind of scared for him like all the time because like he doesn't know what's good for himself. There is so much going on. Definitely leave me comments if you've read this. Like, make sure to mark them as spoilers and hit enter a couple of times so nobody gets spoiled by accident. But I would love to discuss more. This series has my whole heart in a grip, and I love it. I love it. The whole like Narcheska storyline, I still don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the characters are acting a little bit dumb in that regard, especially Jade, but also Fitz for a lot of the novel. I do not trust her. At the same time, I think they should like really figure out what's happening to her family, because to me it sounds like that the guy, I forgot his name, that he has like some kind of hold over her family, so he can force her to pretend to marry Dutiful. So there's probably a lot going on that we will explore in the third book. I'm ready for it. And more dragons? We'll see how I feel about that, because like Tintaglia is not my favorite dragon of all time, let's just say that. But I'm ready, I hope you're ready too, and we'll talk again when I'm reading the final book in this trilogy. So I'm now halfway through the final book of the Tawny trilogy, and that is Fool's Fate. I am a bit worried at the halfway point, like, let's be real. I'm gonna keep this one spoiler free. I would say the beginning of this book is quite slow. We do start off kind of where we left off with the second book, so there isn't really like any time jump or anything like that. However, we get into a
kind of like a phase of preparing for something, and then a lot of the first half of this book is just traveling. So you have to be ready for that. There is a lot of time spent on a ship, and especially time spent on a ship with someone who does not want to be there. So it's a bit dramatic as well, but very understandable. Like, it makes a lot of sense for this character that they don't want to be there and that they're very pissed about it. But because of that, we have like a kind of like slow, bleak beginning to this book, because we're just in a situation where all of the characters are quite uncomfortable, to be sure. So you kind of have to get through this, and it might not be like the most entertaining, but as always, there is just a lot of like character work in that, but also like this slowly building tension, because we're still kind of looking at the same mystery that we had in the previous books. And what I really like about this last book now is that it also really ties in the Farseer trilogy. So we do explore more about this idea of forging, what this actually was, how it was done, and what happened kind of to all of that. So this is now slowly woven into the story as well again. And I think if you read the previous books in the Tawny trilogy, you can kind of see that there has to be a connection. It is a little bit frustrating that the characters themselves don't really tend to see that. So I have these like inklings of what is going to happen and what is going on, but the characters don't really, they're not on the same page. They are just a little bit slow with that. So that is a little bit frustrating for me, but there is enough stuff going on with the book that I don't really mind it, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm still loving these characters. I must say, for a large part of the first half of this book, I was missing my beloved. So I had to like wait a lot for my favorite character to show up again, but they did, and I'm happy. So right now at the halfway point, something like very, very intense is happening, like something very terrible. Obviously, as I usually do with these things, I listened to that right before going to sleep last night, and I was like in shock. I was like, what is happening to my babies? Like, it is very traumatic. So I think that the second half will probably have a lot of answers, probably also have a lot of like intense stuff that is going to happen. The overall idea of what is going on, like those little inklings I have, it's very sad. It is very sad. So I do expect that I will need tissues for the end of this book, and I'm just really not ready and ready at the same time. Like, I love Robin Hobb's writing. I love these characters. I love the way that all of these like storylines are intertwined, because even in Tawny Man, we already had like 2 storylines. We have the Outlander. No, that's not what they're called. What are they called? Now that I'm saying it, it sounds wrong. But you know, like the island people. And then we have the whole kind of piebald storyline. So those are already intertwined, but now we're also bringing back stuff from the Farseer trilogy. And so it all feels like very thought out, and it's just great to get these answers and to dive even deeper into this world and what has been going on. So I will listen to the rest of this book, and I will be back to discuss it with you. You guys, we did it. I did it. I did this to myself. But I have now finished Fool's Fate, the third book in the Tawny trilogy, and I'm here to talk about it. I'm not quite sure how to talk about it, and also the cat has just entered the chat and is probably going to try to destroy my little setup here. We'll see how that goes. I have to hold the laptop because otherwise she will step on it and turn off the microphone. Okay, so let's talk about this book. First of all, if we try to be a little bit spoiler-free here, I can't with this cat. I love her, but she's a menace. Spoiler-free, what can I say? I love this book. I absolutely love this book. This is the first, true 5 stars. The first true 5 stars I'm gonna give a Robin Hobb book. Now, could I criticize this one a little bit? Yes. Because the beginning of the book is very long, and it is kind of boring, but not for me. So I'm just gonna ignore that. But the rest of the book is everything. It's everything. I cried so much. I hope I left some of those clips in. I tried to film some of my crying just so you believe me that I sobbed for this book. And it was just everything. It gave me a lot. Not necessarily the things that I wanted, but now I feel like I have to read more. I have to know more. And the idea that it will take me until 2027 probably before I finish this series, as it is so far, kind of making me very worried about my mental health. But yeah, this was a lot. This series is a lot, and I would so recommend you read The Realm of the Elderlings. I'm not even joking. You have to read The Realm of the Elderlings. If you like fantasy at all, you have to read it. And I think I'm gonna leave it there for the spoiler-free part, because honestly, what could I say apart from Robin Hobb just took my heart and just squeezed it so hard throughout this whole trilogy. And yeah, I think it's so good. And I think what I really like about her writing style is that there's always multiple problems. It's very realistic in that way, that there is not this one big threat or this one big thing that needs to be accomplished in the story. There's always multiple things going on, and they can overlap and they can be connected to each other, but then the threads run out from there again and do their own things. And I think that is so realistic, especially when it comes to a kingdom that, there isn't only one thing going on at a time. There's a lot going on, and I love how these books reflect that. And this also is so much about love and about sacrifice, and I get goosebumps just talking about it and thinking about it, and I just need you to read these books. Honestly, what are you doing with your life if you're not reading these books? That's just all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. It's so fantastic, and it's so bittersweet as well. And so I can't wait to continue on with this. I can't wait to get to the final trilogy. I will read Rainwild Chronicles first, but it seems like such a joke to me that when I hadn't started the books, I always thought that I would only enjoy the Rainwild Chronicles and the Life Ship Traders, and now I'm no, that's not where it's at. It's not where it's at. And yeah, this is just, it makes you care about these characters so much, because you see them go through so much horrible things, but also so much growth, and still they remain themselves. And I think that is a big feat, to develop your characters, but then also to always have them remain themselves. Everything makes sense in these character developments, and I just love it. I love it so much. I wish every fantasy book was like Robin Hobb. No, that's not true. We need diversity. But she's so good at this. She really is. And you need to read it. Okay, I don't want this to be hours long, which it probably will be. Who am I kidding? But I think I'm going to go into a couple of spoilers now. So for the people who have not finished the trilogy yet, thank you so much for watching. I hope you take my advice and go read these books. I hope you had fun watching this, and I hope you have a lovely day. And for all of the other people, let's talk about this book, because like, what the fuck? Okay, I don't even know where to start. Now, obviously, my dear beloved, my sweet, sweet fool, all the things he had to go through in this book, and it was just so heartbreaking, but I loved every second of it. And I'm really just sitting here and wanting to start like the other books, because my fool. Oh, it was so terrible. Like, honestly, like, I was in denial throughout so much of this book. And I think, like, knowing that the last trilogy is called, like, Fitz and the Fool, so, you know, kind of that the fool won't die, you know? I was very much in denial. I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. There is gonna be some fix to it. And I think the way it was done, it just felt like so right. And I think what is so interesting about these books is that Robin Hobb, she doesn't really stick to this like traditional like story arc. She can have like the biggest thing happening like 60% through the book, and you're like, oh my god, like what's going on? And then the ending doesn't have to be that dramatic anymore. And I think that is so interesting, and it works with this book. So we have this whole big thing, we have the whole like free the dragon kind of battle with the like white lady thing and everything. So yeah, you have that, and it happens, and then there's still so much book left, because the characters really have to deal with the fallout of that, and I love it. The rooster crown, like, oh my god, it's all of the things with this rooster crown. Like, I definitely have to reread these books, because I think when you read them the first time, you're just missing so much, because you don't really know which like details to focus on sometimes. So I really have to go back and see about the rooster crown, like where did it pop up, and how did they get it and stuff. I don't really remember it, but all the things we get in this book about the rooster crown is just so interesting. And I definitely want to learn more about Others Island. Like right at the end, there is this like little bit of a throw of line about how when dragons turn to human, they will get sent somewhere, and is kind of hinted at that this somewhere is Others Island, which would be like especially creepy, considering that these like things on Others Island, they held this one sea serpent captive, the one She Who Remembers. So it's basically like one of their brethren's babies. So yeah, that is like gross, but like I want to know about that island. I want to know more. So yeah, so we basically have this whole thing with the crown, with the like voices inside of the crown, which I thought was really interesting. And again, we have like a whole thing with the wizard wood, like the abilities that we see there, which is also interesting considering that kind of the fool could be taken out of the wizard wood again, which what does that mean for life ships exactly? Hard to tell. Like, it's really hard to tell. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where that goes. I think that I would assume that with like the Rainwild Chronicles, we also get like more like dragon stuff and wizardwood stuff. We'll see about that. There was so much going on, I don't even know what to talk about. I love Thick. I said before, I don't always love the language that is used in regards to him, but the way his character is like integrated into all of this. And I think that Fitz has like a very complicated relationship with Thick at some points, because he feels like he has to be this caretaker, but then when he's not anymore, he also kind of misses it. And I love Thick. And there is this like moment when they're like, yes, Thick is Pack, and I was like, yeah, he is, he truly is. And then, oh my god, talking about Pack, the moment Burrick shows up, Oh my god, I lost it. Like, I lost it. The moment Fitz returns to the camp and he sees this person, and the first thing that pops into his mind is Heart of the Pack, I was like, no, this is not happening. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And it was also like so sad but satisfying in a way. And I think it kind of had to happen to open up the possibility for this kind of like happy ending. Like we know that this is not Fitz's happy ending, obviously, because we have more books. But for now, he kind of has this happy ending, and it's not the ending I wanted for him, obviously, because like I am Team Fool all the way. So the way the Fool kind of sacrificed their happiness so that Fitz could go and be with the people that love him is, ugh, don't get me started. Patience. I cried so much about Patience at the end of this book because she truly is one of the standout characters in the series that we do not see a lot of, but whenever she's on page, I wanna, thank you for that, I wanna kiss her. I love her. She's amazing. And when she sees Fitz and she calls him my son, lost it, completely lost it. It was so good. It was so, so fantastic. And so, yeah, getting this like kind of happy ending with them living in Withy Woods with Patience, it's just beautiful. It is. It's like, it's hard to be like, this is not the ending I want. Like, Fitz, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can enjoy that for a year or two, but this is not the ending I want. And I'm gonna get another ending. And I know it will completely destroy me as well, but I don't care. I'm definitely interested to see when we will see the Fool again, because I don't know whether they will be in some shape or form in the Rainwild Chronicles, because like I have to be honest, I did not understand that the Fool was Amber. I'm one of those dumb people, so we'll see about that. I think Tintaglia was definitely more tolerable. Like I could, excuse me, the cat just poked me in the back. She's like sitting right behind me. I'm sorry. You would love Tintaglia, I know that, but I think she was more tolerable in this book. I think the way that Nettle deals with Tintaglia is very interesting, and I very much appreciate it because like Tintaglia got on my nerves a lot in the previous books. So Nettle being like, in the dream world, we're equals, and I'm just gonna get you to do some things for me. I love that. I think Nettle is very, very interesting and a character to really look out for. I also enjoyed the way that Dutiful and his like girl, what's her name, Eliania, the way that they kind of found each other was also really sweet. I really enjoyed that. I still don't think that like children should be like, you know, producing heirs and stuff, but that's just how the world works in different societies, so who am I to judge? But I did really enjoy the way that they just have this chemistry, and it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it would be advantageous for them to marry. It's like purely that they're both like kind of headstrong people who can appreciate that in the other person. I really like that. I really had fun with that. This series is so great, and honestly, I cannot wait to reread it. I will take my time reading it the first time, just because it is so deliciously unique that I don't want to rush through that. But I also am already so excited to reread it and to really get those details and see like what I missed and make the connections that I didn't see the first time around because I just wasn't really aware of what I have to look for. So I think having such a big series and making it so rereadable as well, very, very interesting, and I'm excited about that. But yeah, this one really for me, all about the characters, all about the different ways these characters love each other. Also with like Jade and Fitz, the relationship they have is just so interesting to me because they never really got out of this like mentor-mentee stage. However, there is so much more to their relationship by now that the dynamic doesn't always like make sense. I am intrigued to see whether Dutiful will eventually find out that his like biological father is Fitz. We'll see about that. So far that has not happened. I have a little bit of a fantasy hangover, so I think it is good that for now I'm gonna read some not fantasy books to like get over the gloriousness of this one. I could ramble on and on and on, and I would love to hear what were like the standout moments for you. For me, this was the strongest series so far, just because we are already like so deep into the character work that everything is so impactful. And I think also all of the new characters we got were really great, like especially Nettle. I think I am so stoked to see how she will develop. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear about it. And then next year we're going to do Rain Wilds. So I'm like, now I'm like really scared because I know people don't love it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm coming from this high, and then probably I also won't love it. Oh, we'll see about that. Okay, so I have rambled for so long. I'm so sorry. But yeah, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Leave all your thoughts in the comments. And I will talk to you soon with a different series reading vlog. Already very excited for the ones I have planned for the next couple of months. And yeah, have a good day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye!